seating assessment, and what I did was I took these cushions and I put them in this direction. Depends on what her needs were, just move that up there. But essentially now, my spine can go right into that gap. Rather than up here like this, my spine can go right back. I'm able to get support from these cushions here. My head is in this position, which is far from ideal. But what I can do is then bring the chair into tilt. My eyes, at the moment, I can't really look at any of you in the eye because my vision is down here. I'm not going to move my chin, so my chin is staying on my chest. But as we come back up, I can now see you all. Yeah, I've got good eye contact with all of you because of the tilted space and the fact that I was able to get my spine into that gap. So we did this for her, and it meant that instead of her being in bed on her side all day every day, she came into the lounge, she interacted with people because she could. Whereas previously, she was all the way down. She couldn't interact with anybody, she was just looking down. But here she could actually interact with people. So with her, it reduced the risk of pressure sores, gave her the right amount of support, and it enables her to have a much better quality of life because she had social interaction, which she hadn't had for quite some time. So that's another little way of managing posture management, and as you can see, it doesn't look right, but it doesn't matter. Any questions? No? All good so far? Okay. Is it helpful? Good. Okay. Any other examples of where the chair's been used to meet needs? Similar chair? No? No worries. Okay, so what we will do now, if it's okay, we will move on to bariatric seating, because you all mentioned that is something, well, somebody mentioned it's something of interest, something that you do. So if we just think about bariatric seating, we're talking about larger people that have a lot of extra body mass, and that can make things very difficult in terms of finding the right seating solution, but also managing their functional levels and comfort and pressure care. So the bariatric chair has the very same concept. It's configurable. You can adjust the seat width, you can adjust the seat depth. You cannot adjust the seat height, but there are two options, a 16-inch and an 18-inch. And in some cases, there's possibly the option for a 20-inch, which I'll mention in a minute. The bariatric has an independent backrest. It also has an independent leg rest. Okay, so the benefit of that is that bariatric people sometimes really struggle to raise their legs. And actually, what I didn't mention, I don't think, when you tilt the chair, did I mention that what we saw is the legs came up first and then the chair tilted. So in order to get into tilt, the person has to be able to extend at the knee. If they have contractures, tight hamstrings or anything like that, they're not going to be able to do that. Okay, so they need to be able to extend at the knee and then go into tilt. So bear that in mind. If you've got a client that cannot extend at the knee, this will not be a suitable option for them if they need tilted space function as well. But with the bariatric, it gets more complicated, so there is independent backrest, there is independent leg rest. That's your dual motor. We also have the option to add in a third motor, which is a tilted space option. And if you have tilted space, then you've got three height adjustment options. You've got 16, 18 and 20. But without tilted space, it's just a dual motor, independent backrest, independent leg rest, and the 16 or 18 high. What we'll also see is that it obviously has a riser function as well. It has adjustable width and depth. Its weight capacity is 254 kilograms. There may be an option for a 300 kilogram one as well that's being brought in. I'm not certain it's happening. What I will say is that this is not available, as I said, I did remember to say again, it's not going to be available for the next 2 to 3 months, but then it will be available after that. The leg rest capacity is high. It's more than 50% of the body weight, overall weight capacity. Could anyone think of why that's necessary? The legs, anyone? No? Legs can be really, really heavy, and often that is where a lot of the weight is carried. And we can say that in some people it can be up to 50% of the full body weight is just in the legs. But in addition to that, some people have a big apron, a lot of body mass around the abdomen. That sits on their legs. So So when they are raising, their legs, they've got the weight of their legs and the weight of the abdomen sitting on the leg rest function. So that needs to be able to accommodate those. So that's why it's really quite a high weight limit on there. Okay, so that is our chair. What else is just? Sorry. And I'll just do it the old-fashioned way in the meantime. This is the best one, by the way. This is the most disjointed training session, and it's being recorded. So that's probably why it's disjointed. Okay, so typical sitting pattern. Has anyone seen that sort of sitting position? Does anyone know why a bariatric person is likely to sit in that position? Anyone think of what's happening there? Hard to breathe. So they've brought themselves forward, haven't they? Because they just need to offload all this weight from them there. Do I think so much? That's right. So that's one thing. But why is it hard for them to breathe? They haven't got support. Yeah. Exactly that. So this is what we call my gluteal shove, aka big bottom. Okay? It's where a lot of the body mass goes. It's at the bottom of the person, round their bottom. So when they go and sit in a chair, sit back in the chair, that hits the back of the chair. My back doesn't. I've got no support. So now, if I'm heavy, I've got a lot of weight on my chest. That doesn't feel right. I need to bring myself up to take away that weight, to take it off my chest and it's affecting my breathing. So I'm going to bring myself up. Yes, that helps my breathing. But no, I don't feel very secure. Not very comfortable. I'm holding on. My feet are digging into the ground. I'm not going to be very functional. And this is a common occurrence with larger people because the body mass is there and there is nowhere for it to go. Bear in mind that some of this is relevant for people that are in the small, medium and large chair as well, because we just don't know where people's body weight goes. Sometimes even in the medium or large chair, that is where their mass will go and you need to accommodate it. So I've got this mass here. I need to find somewhere for it to go. So I can take this cushion off, I can take out the stuffing and put the cushion cover back on again, so they're leaning against that. What that means is now, when I go to sit down, I'll have somewhere for that body mass to go. It will basically slot into that space and I'll have the backrest support. So now I don't need to raise myself to allow me to breathe more comfortably. I don't have the weight on my chest. But how do we measure for that? How do we know how much space they need? Okay, so what we need to look at is how we measure people, and that can be really, really challenging when it comes to bariatric users. But what I'll just mention first of all is that with this is the depth adjustment kit. So as before, we just take off the cushions, we put the depth adjustment kit in, we can go down to, put 2 or 3 in there, and it will decrease the seat depth. You don't have the option of lifting the backrest and putting it into another position. It's just using these these depth adjustment kits. With the width option, so with the standard Configura Comfort, we had small, medium and large. With this, we've got one chair, which is 28 inches wide, which is this one here. You can see the armrests are like that, they're just flush there. But then if we want to reduce the width to 26 inches, we change the armrests and we have one with a bit of a infill over here. And then we can even reduce it to 24 inches. So we've got 28, 26 inches wide, 24 inches wide. And can you see the way they just sit over the seat? So the seat base, the seat cushion, stays the same regardless of what armrests you have, but I'm able to decrease the seat width. It's really helpful with bariatric people because often they fluctuate. Their weight fluctuates and their fluid management fluctuates as well. So it's quite nice to be able to change the seating, the seat width. What I will say is that when it comes to bariatrics, it's really, really challenging to get the measurements right. So if you are doing an assessment, it's best to try and arrange to have a chair with you to get an overall idea of what their needs are, but then to have a chair with you and take as many accessories as you can. So just to show you the different size options, so we've got the dual motor, okay, and it has, as you can see, we've got seat depth is 18 or 20 or 22, depending on how many depth adjustment kits we use. So if we wanted to decrease the seat depth by 2 inches, we use 1. If we want to do it by 4 inches, we do it with 2. So that's your seat depth. Seat height, it's the same, 16 and 18. And the difference between this row and this row at the bottom, the only difference is one has tilt and space function and the other one doesn't. And the benefit of it, one benefit of the tilt and space function is obviously the function of tilt and space, which some people really do like to have, others can't tolerate it. But with that one, you can get a 20-inch higher seat. Okay, and the 254 weight capacity is the same, and the seat width options are the same. If you have two people that are both 5'6", let's say, or 6 foot, and one is bariatric and one isn't, the likeliness is the person that is bariatric will require a shorter seat depth and a shorter seat height. Does that make any sense? Pardon? Absolutely that, absolutely. So it does make sense because, as before we mentioned, usually when you're measuring someone that doesn't have a huge amount of body mass, you go for this crease here, it gives you an insight into this measurement and this measurement. But when you've got a person that is bariatric and you want to measure the seat height, this is not where we want to go. What we want to do is actually take into consideration their body mass underneath their thighs. Okay, so now, if I take this measurement up here, that's inaccurate, because actually what I want to do is take this body mass into consideration, find somewhere for that to go. If I haven't taken that into consideration, what will happen is my seat height will be too high and I will be dangling. Okay, because there'll be nowhere for the body mass to go, so it has to be propped up on the seat, but then I can't touch the floor. But if I've measured from here, underneath the thighs, I've measured from here, down to the floor,